happening, everyone? I hope that you are all well. Today, we're going to be discussing a very interesting topic revolving around the comments made by Alan Shearer and Jermaine Jenas on Match of the Day 2. I have to start this video by caveating the fact that I genuinely love Alan Shearer. I think Alan Shearer is a great of the game. I adore him in a footballing sense. And when I think of the players that I've had the privilege of watching play with my own eyes, Alan Shearer is one of the players I flag in the Premier League. You think Cristiano Ronaldo, Dennis Bergkamp, Thierry Henry, Gianfranco Zola, Alan Shearer. He is in that bracket for me. One of the greats of the game. And also, more importantly, I have nothing but admiration for the way that he has conducted himself since playing football. I think I have only respect for the way that he conducts himself as a pundit, but equally I have a connection to some of the amazing work that he has done in the North East. He has a foundation, and someone I care about deeply has benefited from his generosity. So I only have love for Alan Shearer. However, I think he got this completely wrong. So with regard to these protests, Alan Shearer has said not like that, and Jermaine Jenas has said that any kind of protest in that nature actually clouds the message. People often talk about the other avenues open to football fans to make their feelings heard. This is nonsense. This isn't true. There aren't other avenues. The Glazers have been in charge of Manchester United for what, 16 years? Since 2015. And in that time, there has been zero communication with Manchester United fans. They aren't open. There's no transparency. Football fans do not have any avenues to make their voices heard. Equally, the point of protest, the fundamental reason behind any sort of protest is to make your feelings heard and to disrupt. You can't protest and have an effect from a designated area. That isn't the point of a protest. Protests, by their very nature, are supposed to be inconvenient. They are supposed to disrupt. They are supposed to bring things into a standstill. That is the very nature of them. Had Manchester United fans not managed to get on that pitch, had Manchester United fans not managed to get the game suspended, the issue would not be being discussed now. The issue would not have made it onto Match of the Day. At very best, the Manchester United protest would have made it into the MEN, right? It would have made it into the Manchester local newspaper, the Manchester Evening News. That is the level that kind of protest would reach if it wasn't disruptive. The fact that we're discussing it now, the fact that worldwide coverage of those photos, the banner that says you can't buy our soul, has gone transatlantic. It has gone international. And the reason that people like the Glazers, who are hauled up in what I imagine is an incredibly privileged lair in Florida, the fact that they will be having calls about this entire issue and their ownership, and are they fit and proper people to be looking after one of the crown jewels of the British landscape, is because Manchester United fans had the audacity to get the game called off. It is a rip-roaring success. That is the whole purpose of protest. It's nonsense for people to say, don't do it like this. It is disingenuous of somebody like Alan Shearer or somebody like Jermaine Jenas to say, this isn't the way to go about it. There is no other way. Every other way falls on deaf ears. You can't get into a stadium at the moment. You can't protest in a way that suits other people. Chelsea fans did it recently. I was part of that. We sat down on the Fulham Road. The Fulham Road was closed. Incredibly inconvenient to lots of people. That is a byproduct. That's not the point. We're not trying to upset people. We're not trying to inconvenience people. But it's a way of making your voice heard. It is a fundamental of democratic protest. People keep talking about the danger that was seen. I genuinely ask this question. What do you perceive to be more dangerous to English football? 300 Man United fans who break onto the Old Trafford pitch, let off a few flares, wave their placards, or people like the Glazers? People who have very recently tried to destroy the very seeds, the foundations of the British game. What is more dangerous to football? Genuine question. Please answer in the comments below. You know, it's Manchester United fans at the moment in the spotlight. I think they did brilliantly. I think they should all give themselves a massive pat on the back. But this isn't really about one club. This is an uprising against all owners who fail to respect the traditions of the British game. This is an uprising of people taking back power, people asking questions about the oligarchs and these incredibly privileged venture capitalists who have got themselves into a position to have real power and influence over our game. 116 years of tradition, potentially down the drain. We won't forgive and we won't forget. And this is a movement, and it's almost been a blessing that the Glazers and J.W. Henry and Roman Abramovich, it's a blessing that they tried to eradicate our game as we know it. It's a blessing that they tried to fundamentally dissolve the pyramid structure in this country, because it's lit a fire under football fans everywhere. The structure and the history of English football are paramount. They are of essential preservation. They must be front and centre of everybody's mind. And people want to talk about what Manchester United fans did, kicking down a gate, throwing a tripod onto the pitch. What the Glazers and everybody involved tried to do was vandalise the English game far more significantly than any Manchester United fans did yesterday. Rebellion among English football fans is really rare. This doesn't happen. You know, I think that by our nature we can be tribal and we can argue and we can have disagreements about refereeing decisions and disagreements about how many away fans clubs take away and whatever. But general rebellion, it doesn't exist. And this is something new, and that's why the momentum needs to continue here. And until we actually explore and ask the reasons of the majority, rather than focusing on some actions of the minority. You know, the news is filled of that terrible image, and I concede it is a terrible image, of the steward who's got a gash under his eye. Totally unacceptable. But that is the minority, and people are focusing on the minority that were involved in these protests. The minority who threw the tripod onto the pitch. The minority who lit a flare and threw it at the journalists. The minority. But nobody, people with audiences, significant audiences, people like Shearer, people like Jenas, until they explore the reason that the majority of people were out on the streets in Manchester yesterday. Why were so many fans desperate to make their voices heard? Why were so many Chelsea fans desperate to make their voices heard? Why were so many, or some Tottenham fans, desperate to make their voices heard? Why were so many Arsenal fans? Don't focus on the minority. Don't focus on the odd incident. Focus on the majority and ask yourself the question that they have been asking for well over a decade now. So there we have it. They are my thoughts on Shearer and Jenas' comments on Match of the Day. Alan, if you're watching this, which I concede is a very unlikely event, but if you are, please know that I love you, I rate you, and I still haven't forgiven you for the way that you rolled Desai for that exceptional goal at St James's Park. I was there to witness that, and I still can't get my head around quite how you managed to do that. A truly outstanding goal from a truly outstanding player. But on this one, I'm afraid, mate, I just think you got it wrong. I think we have to back people having the passion, the energy, the fervour, and occasionally the aggression. I think that it is a necessity at the moment. The game is potentially being stolen from the people, and the fight back is essential. I hope you agree. And I am obviously very interested to know what everybody else who's watched this video. Do you think I'm right here? Do you think that we can back this level of dissent? Or do you think it went too far at Old Trafford yesterday? Let me know. As always, if you enjoyed it, please give it a like. Consider clicking subscribe. I'll see you all in a bit.